All right, so we are back with book section number one, and we're going to start things off with Despicable Deadpool. And this is what, 294? Yes,
I
294.
yes.
So Trevor's going
This,
to take it away. This is the IVX section.
all right. Despicable Deadpool. It was a bad choice.
Yeah, I
Writer.
know. I was a little disappointed when I saw the cover was Madcap. I can't stand
Yeah.
Madcap.
Oh
So
yeah.
sick of him in Deadpool books.
I because the last couple issues were pretty decent. Sometimes they're like decent issues that follow the story, and then you get like these wacky issues that just I don't even know why I read it. Like this one.
Yeah.
But writer Jerry Duggan, artist Scott Koblish, who used to be an inker, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of his art style. I
Yeah, I
liked
didn't love it.
Mateo. No, the guy who did the last two issues, Mateo Lally, is a far superior artist. No offense, Scott Koblish. He used to be an inker, and he's worked with a lot of great artists, but I'm just not a big fan of his style. The colorist, Ruth Redmond, with letters by VC's Joe Sabino, and a cover by Mike Hawthorne and Nathan Fairbairn. Mike Hawthorne did the last issue of Amazing Spider-Man and the next one. So, oh boy, we start this issue off with Madcap being a retard.
I almost shut I
And,
almost shut the issue as soon as I saw the start of it. I was like, oh god.
yeah, he's singing and dancing like a jackass. And I don't know much about Madcap, but he's constantly like touching people's noses and going boop.
Yeah. Well, I got him for Midpoint Marvelous Facts this week. He's going to be our character we do, and he's got like powers to emotionally control everyone around him and like, suggest they do things. So that's what he's doing to these people. He's making them sing and dance with them.
Make him sing and dance. Looks like fun. Everybody's like, it looks like he's doing a big musical number.
Yeah.
People are carrying him around and he's singing dumb shit and he touches someone's nose and goes boop. Then I guess he's doing this musical number on the way to Deadpool's old theater / Avengers HQ, but it's already destroyed. Yeah, and he's disappointed. he's disappointed it's destroyed. Why didn't I get to destroy it? So, and he makes everybody keep dancing while he walks away all pissed. And then he goes to a coffee bar and reads Secrets of Secret Empire. Explained,
yeah, well, he stops by the house
kind of
too. You know the house
the
that
Preston house
used to live at, and that's
yeah.
all blown up. And he's like, "Damn it, I wanted to do that too," and someone beat me to it, kind of.
And then he reads Secrets of Secret Empire Explained.
Yeah.
Which was funny because he's like, damn, somebody burned down the Preston's house. He's like, something bad must have happened. He's like, oh, something bad did happen while reading Secret Empire.
Yeah.
And then throws it in the trash.
Yeah, that wasn't Deadpool's best moments during that period of time either.
No, it definitely wasn't Deadpool's best moments. He was an idiot and listened to Captain America and thought Hydra was a good idea. Sort of like Punisher.
Yeah.
And only Punisher didn't kill Phil Coulson. So and then Deadpool shows up in a horse and buggy and runs over Madcap and just continuously crushes him. And then they fight. Well, he slices off Madcap's arm. I don't know about him. So does he have a healing factor? Because he slices off his arm.
It's like it's a super crazy healing factor, like stronger than Deadpool's. Like there were issues in the previous couple runs when I was really into Deadpool All New All Different, and he was dealing with Madcap back then, and like he would take him down to a head, and he would like grow little tentacles real quick out of his head and run away that way. And yeah, you can never really kill him.
No,
even when he's vaporized into one single cell, he can still
exactly. Yeah, because that's what happened here. He was like, "Oh, I'm back from disintegration." So, like, what the fuck? Well, it must be a nice power.
Yeah.
So yeah, he slices off his arm. They fight for a little while, and then Deadpool calls down some help from space, and it's the Collector.
Yeah, he's got like a collector pager.
Yeah, he's got a collector pager, which is funny because the thing he uses looks like the thing that's holding on the Collector's coat or whatever, or his shirt.
Is
It's
that
like in the middle
something
of
he
his.
got? Because you read those issues of Guardians. Did he get that when he was up with them?
Uh oh boy. I don't
Is
think
that
he
what
was
he was
around when that
alluding to in
happened.
this issue?
No, I don't think so. I
I
don't
don't know
rem-
how else he would have got it. I don't remember any other time Deadpool was in space.
I don't either. Maybe he
Maybe they're
snuck
just like
away and
using that
stole
as
it.
a reference point. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, something happened off panel, and he got one of these like call buttons, and so the collector shows up, and basically Deadpool just sells him to the collector for his collection for the zoo. And Madcap's happy about it. Deadpool thinks like, oh yeah, I'm getting rid of this guy. He's gonna be in this zoo forever. Fuck him. And Madcap's like, good, I'm glad. I'm gonna have fun in this zoo. Fuck you. I'm glad I'm getting away from you, you asshole, and all your nonsense and your mess. And Deadpool's like, shit, man. I thought that was really something that was gonna piss him off and be a disappointment. But
Yeah.
he was
It's
really
almost
happy
like
about it.
Deadpool wanted to break up with a girl, and then he broke up with her, and she didn't like, blow up at him and get all pissed off
Yeah.
about it. So he was like let down about it. That's kind of what it
He's like,
reminded me of.
I love what he says to Clay. He's like, no, hey, Siegfried, I changed my mind. Leave him here, because he calls Collector Siegfried, like Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah.
Because he does have that flamboyance about him. So yeah, they take Madcap away. Madcap's happy. Portal closes, and then the telephone rings. Telephone booth. Like, I don't know. I haven't been to New York in like a year or two in New York City, but last time I was there, I didn't see any telephone booths. But
We'll have to ask Reggie. That's a question for Reggie.
Yeah. So yeah, telephone booth, ring. Deadpool picks up the phone. It's Strife, and he's keeping him on mission. He tells him his next target. He put a picture above in the telephone booth. Looks like it's stuck there with a little bit of scotch tape, which means Strife had to like come out there, put that up there with scotch tape, realize the Deadpool is going to be there, call that telephone booth. So Deadpool's like, anybody
can time travel and shit, right? He probably went to like
yeah. He can time travel, and so Deadpool's like, yeah, anybody, whoever your next target is, anybody but Evan Abensor, Kid Apocalypse. And he looks at the picture, and it's Kid Apocalypse. And then Deadpool takes on Kid Apocalypse and Despicable Deadpool 295. So we'll see how that works out for Deadpool. And he has like a close relationship with Evan, so he's not really up for killing him. So we'll see how that goes. But this issue, like I said in the beginning, I wasn't a big fan of the art. Scott Koblish isn't like completely awful or anything. It's just, it's kind of cartoony and a little.
Yeah, it's very cartoony, like Saturday morning cartoony.
Yeah, and I just didn't care. I felt like I was wasting my time. I read the Spider-Man annual before this, and I just wasn't in the mood for this, I guess, after that. So it's a forget. Just don't even bother with this. Maybe pick up the next issue when he's back on mission, and he's following a story. But this is just fucking, I don't know. Somebody who, if you like stupid shit, like stupid funny shit, then you might enjoy this. You might pick this up. But for me, it was a forget altogether. I just didn't even care.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of it either. I do like to still read the occasional Deadpool issue. I'm not, full team Deadpool, like reading every week, every issue like I was back a couple years ago. But yeah, I'm glad they got rid of Madcap though. Like, go send him off with the Collector and get him out of the fucking universe, because he is so obnoxious to deal with. He never goes away. Like, you can't kill him. So what, I don't know how you ever, I don't know. He's just kind of pointless. So I'm glad he's out of the book. We don't got to worry about Madcap for a long time, hopefully. But other than that, I didn't get much out of it. The only part I really liked was, art wise, was the page that he gets run over by the horse and buggy.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, but there's like no background or anything on it. It kind of looks kind of half-assed. Yeah, I'm bored with you. Like, forget it altogether. I'm not really a huge fan.
Nope.
This felt like kind of a one shot they were just going to throw out there to buy them time to continue on with their regular story. So
That's what it feels like because they're on a
Yeah.
bi-weekly schedule. So they were just like, yeah, we'll throw this out there. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, we'll get rid of Madcap. We'll tie that up. So, yeah, if you were following the previous Deadpool story and wondered what happened to Madcap and where he went, well, here he is, and now he's gone again. So you can wrap your storyline up that way, and would really care. But other than that, yeah, we're gonna move on to the next book, Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man. I'm sorry, got to be specific here because Spider-Man's a different book.
That's
The
true.
Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 42. This had, 2 stories in it. We'll cover the first one in detail and just gloss over the second one because it wasn't really much. But yeah, there was a kind of a editor's note a few weeks back in one of the amazing issues with Betty Brant seeing Peter kind of sneak around somewhere, and she's like, "Why isn't his dumbass at work?" That never really gets brought up here, though. Like they told you to check out this issue. Does it get brought up?
Yeah. It's the guy. It's that, I think his name is Preston. It's that guy who grabbed Betty in City Hall.
Underground guy.
Yeah. It's that guy. He's been following her around.
All right. Well, anyway, here the issue starts off weeks ago,
or it could have been
with
Ned.
These dudes. Yeah, I think it might have been Ned. I don't know. It starts off with these dudes, the enforcers, walking their way through the secret underground tunnels in New York, like the long lost, no longer used railroads and things like that. That these secret villains really kind of have been traveling around. Yeah, I mean, they do have sections that aren't used anymore and stuff and that are abandoned. I'm not sure they're as prevalent as the Spider-Man universe makes it seem like they are, but I mean, there are sections of New York City like subway that aren't used anymore.
It's like underneath Manhattan is just fucking hollowed out. When is it just going to collapse in on itself?
Yeah,
all these tunnels.
But they recap some events here of like the enforcers coming together, and how they were brought back from the dead. That's all via clone conspiracy. It moves on to Ned Leeds, who's given Betty Brant a call, because he thinks he's gonna die at this moment in time. Is it because of the cloneness? He didn't get the cure, or is it because these bad guys are after him? I was a little confused about that. I wasn't sure why he thought he was dying.
I think it's because the bad guys are after him. Because I think at this point when this happened, it was already after clone conspiracy. So they were all like, so some of the clones that lived, because these guys, the bad guys, are clones.
Yeah, they're everyone's a clone here, going after each other. Basically, Ned's basically just trying to survive. Anyway, the enforcers went after Ned, and he placed a call to Betty before he took off out of town. We don't really know initially in the story if he's alive or dead right away. Anyway, Betty, we transition to current day. Today it says in the book, and Peter and Betty are at the psychic's house, and Peter's not buying any of it. Betty's trying to get kind of some closure and some answers to a phone call she quote unquote received from somebody who's supposedly dead. And the psychic ends up, this happened on Seinfeld. The psychic ends up kicking them out because Peter's being an asshole, even though he's not the one getting the reading. It was like Elaine and George when George went to the fucking psychic.
Oh my God, yeah, that is
Elaine
exactly
couldn't get over the lady smoking.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a good episode. That was funny.
I mean, I love every episode of Seinfeld, but yeah, that's what that scene reminded me of. That's exactly what happens there. And
because she was pregnant, right?
The psychic she was pregnant and she was smoking. And there were like, she had like 8 other kids in the room too. But yeah, so Betty's pissed at Peter. They got kicked out, and she's like, I'm trying to get my answers here, and all you really care about, ever since all the way we were back in high school, is yourself. And just as she's saying that, she's like, turns to her right, and Peter is gone. He went all Spider-Man on her because somebody is following them. And he's trying to get a drop on who's following them. So he turns into Spider-Man, starts trailing this dude, and the guy kind of tucks around a corner, and ends up vanishing from Spider-Man's eyes. He's just like, I don't know where that dude fucking went. So, and we'll get answers to all that later. We move on. What?
I
Go
love
ahead,
when he's
man.
like, I love when he's like, Ned, I did not just do that.
Yeah,
Like after leaving, it's like
yeah,
he's like,
like
maybe
Ghost
it is
Ned.
Ned. Yeah.
Yeah, because Peter doesn't even really have a full idea of who all made it out of that facility and got the cure, and who all turned into a
No.
pile of goo. Like, he didn't really get a tally count of all that. So we go to City Hall the next day, where Betty ends up meeting one of her friends. What's this chick's name? It's around here somewhere.
Glory?
Glory.
Is it
Yeah,
Glory?
Glory.
Yeah.
So they're having a discussion. She brings up the fact that she got a phone call from Ned, and the last words that he mentioned were Blood Creek, and she's trying to figure out what all this means. We go to the Daily Bugle, and she's investigating an old case Ned was working on when he worked there about Blood Creek, and it was an old Civil War battle or Revolutionary War battle. So we got them going through just old files while Peter simultaneously discovering something about current day, and how this story is connected to that as well. So they get put on assignment together by Robbie, right? Robbie Robertson.
Yeah. I thought that was funny because they're like both racing to find information and they're to make it apply to their section of the paper. And he's like, oh,
situation,
this.
yeah. So they could cover it, and
Yeah.
he puts them on team together. So they have to go interview this guy they're supposed to together, and Peter ends up getting stopped in the lobby by the security guard who blew all her investments on Parker Industries, and he's taking an earful
That was
while
funny.
Betty gets talking to this doctor. But that doesn't end up lasting long, because when she hears a knock at the door she thinks is Peter, it ends up being the enforcers, and they're going to kidnap these two, start taking them out of the college when Peter, gets whiff of it. Quick change into Spider-Man and starts fighting with these enforcer clowns. And for the first of this is one of my beefs of the issue. Like, he runs out of web fluid about every fucking time he needs it in this issue. It's kind of a cool reason,
Yeah.
because he doesn't have infinity
The
money
money.
anymore, and not really means to make it without a lab at his disposal or anything. So he's got to be stingy with it. So he ends up using his spider signal to kind of distract and free Betty. And then they try to go after the doctor, and again the bad guys vanish on Peter. Well, really Spider-Man. So they end up, taking all this information they've learned so far anyway, going back to City Hall to investigate this Blood Creek nonsense. And Glory helps them out. She's the one that works at City Hall. And they end
Which is
up
dangerous for Spider-Man because of Kingpin, Mayor Kingpin's.
the Wilson Fisk
Nope.
vigilante ban.
Yeah. It was a nice tie-in with Daredevil.
Yeah, that is a nice, there's something we don't get enough of nowadays anyway, of continuity actually making sense, or continuity, however you say it. But yeah, so Spider-Man's there too. The alarm kind of goes off because Kingpin has this alarm set to this specific file. They find out that this statue cost way more than it should have cost, and now they need to know why. Kingpin's now, we know, behind it as well, or at least has knowledge of the situation. And Spider-Man kind of to allow the girls to at least go free or have an alibi, pretends he comes out with these files or this information. So the bad guys start going after him. Well, not the bad guys, but like Kingpin's goons, and Betty's able to sneak off. And as she's sneaking off, she runs into, is this old guy? He's just another doctor / scientist, right? He's not Ned Leeds in disguise. That's just the homeless guy.
No, yeah, that's just Ned Leeds is the homeless guy. This is what the hell's his name? Prescott, right?
Yes. just I don't know if he's got a connection to her in the past or something, or he's just someone trying to help
No.
out. He
So
says
when
he's
Ned
someone just
Leeds,
trying to help out.
yeah, when Ned Leeds was working on the story, he had two contacts: Dr. Childs, the guy they went to go see at the university, and this guy Prescott, because he was like a city planner, so he knows about
Okay,
all the underground tunnels and all that stuff.
that's right.
So and
Now I remember. Yeah, you're right.
he went into hiding.
Yeah, so he ends up taking her and showing her, an escape through one of these secret tunnels throughout the city, and they dip down this to get out of, out of the danger of Kingpin roaming that area. So he starts wandering with her through these tunnels. He's like, I've been down here all the time. Long story short, his overconfidence gets them in trouble as they run into the enforcers, who we've also seen kind of hanging around down in these tunnels. And then we're introduced to Ernesto Carnelli, who is the long hidden leader of the shadow arm of the Maggia undermob. So another, just New York crime family. This one operates underneath the city. I wish they would just organize and name all these crime families so
Yeah.
they could reoccur. It feels like we get a new one, every fucking 6 months or 3 months, really. But
These guys
anyway,
die so often, so they're always being
yeah,
replaced.
yeah, I know they can just new Italian name crime boss. But yeah, anyway, so these guys end up being behind the Blood Creek statue. They reveal that was so expensive because it was really a bomb, which is a means for when they are discovered to be a distraction to the city so that they can keep their cover, keep
It's funny.
operating in the
It's
shadows.
the
What?
bomb. The statue is made out of tritium, which is
Yeah.
what Dr. Octopus used in Spider-Man 2, the one with Tobey Maguire.
Oh yeah.
That was the substance he used to make whatever the fuck it was that his experiment was that almost blew up the city.
Yeah, that energy ball or whatever he was fucking making.
Yeah, so I
So
thought that
he
was
was
funny.
trying to make non-renewable energy, right? It didn't have to
Energy, yeah,
be yeah.
non-renewable energy. And I was like, this is funny. I was like, as soon as I saw tritium, I was like, hey, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I knew that material rang a bell, but I was just too lazy to pull up Google at that point in time, I guess. So yeah, Trevor with a nice callback there. But anyway, as these bad guys spill all the beans, they get on the train that's taking them to escape because they're going to set this bomb off and it's going to take them out of the area. The guy selfishly leaves his butler behind to be like, the fail safe in case things go wrong. And just at that point in time, Spider-Man busts through the ceiling to free the hostages, which are Betty and the two doctors. And then he goes after the train that's taking off. Leaves Betty left to deal with kind of the Fu Manchu butler left lingering around. And we see him going to try to hit really a hit.
Ronaldo.
What appears to be yeah, he's got the worst name ever. What appears to be a hidden button on the statue that's well within a child's reach. Now, you can't tell me this button has been on this statue forever and no kid has pushed it. Maybe he needed a key. I see a key in there.
Oh, look, he's got the door. See the door? It's on the side of the statue, so it was kind of closed
Okay.
off, so nobody
Yeah.
would notice it was there.
Okay, I guess I can roll with all that. But yeah, so he's trying to blow up the statue and he's fighting what appears to be a bum trying to stop him from doing so. We'll find out who that is shortly. When the bum gets knocked down, Betty steps in to start fighting this guy so he doesn't get to hit the button. All while Spider-Man simultaneously is fighting everybody on this subway car. So as Betty knocks this dude out, like she smashes his head against the statue, I think, or on the ground, hopefully the statue, because that would be a little harder than grass.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that dude's knocked out. That danger's averted. Spider-Man kind of with some quick talk gets the cowboy with the flaming whip to whip lasso to take the detonator out of the Carnelli crime boss's hands.
That was a good
he
play.
ends up sending all them to jail to nullify, this giant bomb from exploding, and then Kingpin to save face through it all. gets the thing taken down. So there's no more bomb disguised as a statue hiding in the middle of the city. And then Spider-Man and Betty kind of have a moment up on top of the Daily Bugle. And then we find out really who this bum was the whole time, kind of wandering around. We saw him in the background a bunch, and it appears to be Ned Leeds. And he's happy that Betty's happy. She took care of this story for him, and he appears to just be walking away in the background, a la, Hulk from the 70s, down the lonely road on his own, and not bugging Betty anymore. He's not going to drag her into like all the disaster his life has been with Hobgoblin and everything else. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate the story. It was decent. It was Barrow level for me. I like the art. It's always really kind of a bummer when you don't get a Monin on a Spider-Man book when he does such a good job. But this was pretty good fill-in art.
I like Corey Smith.
Not really a story that needed to be told, but it was a decent story for an annual. I enjoyed it enough. The first story definitely brings it to Barrow level. There's not much to mention about the second story. It's really just a story about Peter's spider sense, and it's like driving him crazy all day, and he can't put his finger on why. And it ends up being a surprise party for his birthday with Aunt May and everybody, and kind of Mary Jane getting a little sexy up on him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I actually enjoyed
him and Mockingbird ended abruptly out of nowhere.
He really did end abruptly. Last issue, it was like they were broken up. I'm like, when did this happen?
I know.
And
then we get like kind of like a fill in the blank story throughout the rest of the issue. But so that was weird. But I think this is a Barrow. I don't say you got to run out and buy the annual. If you're an annual buyer, no matter what, you'll buy it and you'll enjoy it, I think. But if you're on the fence about it, I wouldn't say it's something you need to have for the collection. It's decent though. It was enjoyable.
Nowadays they stretch these kinds of stories out into arcs. Like that's one thing I really did enjoy about it, is that
we didn't have to waste 3 issues on it.
No, yeah, it was a one and done, and like they filled in 30 pages with with a whole entire complete story, which is something you don't see in just an issue nowadays a lot.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I mean, it tied in with Clone Conspiracy. It tied in a little bit with everything that's going on now. It was goofy a little, like here and there. Peter was pretty funny. I really like the art. I like Corey Smith. I like what he did on Nova with Sean Ryan. I like the Secret Empire.
Game of Thrones references.
Yeah, a lot of game. Those were pretty funny too. Corey Smith is great. His art was great. I loved his X-Men Secret Empire art. He's going to be doing that. This guy's going to be doing the Weapon H book coming up by Greg Pak. I feel it's kind of a waste because he should be on another book, like a better book. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. The whole thing when he goes back to the university and the security lady's like, Dr. Parker, you were a super genius when you were here. We all expected very big things from you. I invested my fucking 401k and my whole entire retirement. Now I'm going to be working till I'm 90. And she's just like talking his ear off. That was pretty funny.
He's getting in his ass.
The clones were pretty funny. I like when, they were on the train and he's like, you ready to die for this guy? Weren't you just cloned back to life? And he's like, oh, fuck that. And he took the whip and took the bomb thing away from him, took the detonator away from him. But yeah, it's a Barrow. Like, it's not like something you really need to run out and read right away. But if you just want to read something like some Spider-Man, like a Spider-Man one-shot story that's just fun,
Yeah. It's better than the Spider-Man annuals we've been getting lately, which have been just like 4 or 5 random stories of nonsense, all of them. So that's why I liked it a little better.
Compared to those, this was refreshing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the little story at the end, first of all, I love that they got Marcus too, just to do this little tiny story about Spidey sense. But I love seeing how it kind of works. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, all the things that it does for me, like loose floorboard, slippery rug, it wakes him up before his alarm goes off because, it's like warning him about something that's going to shock him in a minute. So he's like, oh man, when he wakes up, it says 6:59 on the alarm clock.
Yeah.
And he's like, I loved when he's walking through the city and it's showing him like all the shit, like dog poop, guy on a phone not paying attention, manhole cover, like all the stuff that he could trip up on or fuck himself up. So like walking through the day, all these little things that set off his spidey sense on top of that kind of blinds him to everybody throwing him a surprise party, and at the same time just gives him a major migraine throughout the day, every day. Like, I thought that was kind of funny, but it's a borrow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So we're gonna wrap up book one. We're gonna go off to the midpoint marvelous facts, and then Travis spitting the bit about Old Man Logan. We'll be right back.
Old Man Hawkeye.
Oh, I always do that. All right, we'll wrap up the facts here and then end this up for the night.
I'm gonna send you Old Man Hawkeye. I got it right here. Old Man Hawkeye. Insert.
Yeah, you can just send it to my email. All right, we're back. All right, we are back. This is the Midpoint Marvelous Facts. We got one character we're going to spotlight for you, and this is going to be Madcap. And actually, I pretty much blew my wad filling in the gaps of what Madcap is on the Deadpool book, but I do got, who created him, his first appearance, which I think is going to surprise some people. And I do got another little tidbit about him. So, Madcap, he was created by Mark Grunwald and Paul Neary, and his first appearance was in Captain America at number 307.
Really?
So yeah, I was surprised by that. He's not solely a Deadpool villain. He messes with Cap once in a while, I guess. That was back in July 1985. Again, he like we mentioned in the Deadpool section, he's kind of like an emotional control type character. He's got a specialized form that makes people highly susceptible to suggestions from Madcap himself. So that's how, when everyone was singing and dancing a musical number in the beginning, that's how they did so. He's got a healing factor that is stronger than Deadpool's, and he can regenerate from literally nothing. So like a single solitary cell, maybe even half a cell. You cut him off at the head, his head will just go running off, or he can just pop a new one on. I don't know. He really is just super powerful as far as healing factor goes. And then he believes life is meaningless, which makes him, a pretty terroristic villain there. He has no concept or meaning of life, so he doesn't care about other people's really. Really ridiculous thing. He kind of carries around, and especially in the Deadpool book, All New, All Different, he did this a lot. There'd always be like giant bubbles around him, like because he carries around this bubble gun, and when the bubbles touched people, they would control them and stuff. So it's a common toy without special properties, but Madcap uses them to attract attention. And people usually think that the bubbles are what drives them crazy, but it's actually Madcap himself. So it's more like a distraction tool than an actual.
Shit, I lost you for a second.
People think it is, the thing that turns them into a crazy nutbag when he's around. So I hope that all recorded. My internet's going a little wonky here, so I'm going to wrap up this midpoint facts. I'm going to edit this all together, and we will talk to you guys next week. We do have, what do we got? 3 books. We're going to do a big Avengers recap next week.
It's a lot of good stuff coming out next week.
Yeah. What are you going to do for X-Men?
Oh boy.
Because I'm going to do Venom 162 instead of another Amazing Spider-Man title. Figured Infinity Countdown Prime will be the hero book, since Avengers is in the event slot, I guess. Or you could flip-flop them. It doesn't matter, but we'll do those 2, and then you're going to do what for X?
Wait, were we doing Infinity Countdown, and are we doing Doctor Strange, Damnation, or?
Oh, that comes out next week.
Yeah, it's too many big things.
I don't know if that was on my list, or I didn't pay attention to it.
It's between Generation X and Astonishing X-Men. Generation X surprisingly got better, but I don't know if I want to cover it.
All right. Well, Trevor will fill us in throughout the week on which one he wants to do. And with that being said, we will see you guys next week, same time, same channel. Like I said, we've been kind of dropping these on Tuesday morning or afternoonishes lately. So little change as far as that goes because we record late Mondays. But yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week. So peace out.